Yeah, what do you think that one means?
And sit down.
This one, well, it's a child.
And she's blowing, it looks like...
She's blowing a dandelion-ish flower.
That's
right?
it's like
which
a dandelion.
Which is about wishes.
You're making a wish.
Right. But
and she wishes for what? Love and peace?
Love. For love.
She's like 9.
But that's all about like our social conditioning to think that we need love.
True.
And that we should be wishing for it.
But I think everybody needs to be loved. Like, I think people need to understand how that is. Not necessarily seek out love, but I think a lot of people want to be loved. Everybody has a mother, right? And so I think every child needs to feel their mother's love. I think they should know how to, like, at least know what it's like to be loved and to be appreciated and cared for. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has a mother, everybody has a father. So, yeah, maybe not seek love, but wish for love.
Wish for love.
And wish for other people to have some kind of love in their life, right?
Well, that's being extra generous.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times I wish for love for myself, but I don't know how often I actually wish for it for others.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I wish for me to love myself a lot of times because I find that I am extremely self-critical. Yeah.
Me too.
I think a lot of people are.
Most.
And if you're going to be successful, you have to be your biggest critic because you're the only one who can really fix yourself, you know? So that's how I feel, at least, you know.
And you have to be happy with who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. But we all have to find our own path in life. And everybody who's listening in right now, thank you for doing so. We are on Channel 99. We've got Meganoke. And
hello.
And then we've got 2Dub
We out here.
Yeah.
We out here.
Know how to live life.
I was wondering what your accent was going to be when you said that.
You're doing Scottish.
No one knows yet.
We out here.
It'll change halfway through.
When I try and do accents, it changes like halfway through the sentence. Like, I'll be like, that's half Australian, half English.
Yeah.
Like, not a good accent at all.
I do really good stereotypical racist accents.
Oh, man.
Like, if I were to do them, people are like, dude, you're racist as fuck. Like, dude, you can't say it like that. You can't say that. I'm like, well, dude, you asked me to be like, you know, you wanted me to be cholo, I'll be cholo, bro. Like,
what do you think about that, though? I think, like, the PC has gone a little bit far, you know?
I think people are starting to kind of recognize that.
It's a little far.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Like, come on.
Way too much.
Way too much. PC's out of control. But I think it's something that is going to be somewhat. See what I was saying? Like, right, I'm like tapping these.
What's the tarot say?
But like,
what's the Banksy tarot?
Let me finish my thought real quick. As far as PC, I think it's gonna die out. I think I think a lot of the people who subscribe to that and, you know, they adopted, you know, certain trigger words and whatnot. I truly believe those individuals will grow up and they'll mature and they'll realize that you know, when you're younger you think a certain way, and as you mature and you grow up you kind of recognize what's actually offensive and what is a joke or what's meant to you know, kind of raise an eyebrow versus offend somebody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but you know, there are also certain things that are said that are very offensive and highly inappropriate, that are not, like, that are politically correct, you know, in my opinion. I've heard some crazy stories from, like, women who have taken, like, Ubers and Lyfts and, you know, some of the conversations they've told me about that they had with their drivers. Oh no. Everybody, our tripod is falling apart right now. I've got like 20 tripods in there, but they're all tabletop tripods.
Just some technical difficulties.
I won't mess with it.
Dude, we got an engineer in the house over here. She just rebuilt this tripod in like 5 snaps.
I was going to try and show both with you guys, but I think moving it around is going to be sketch.
Yeah, don't worry about moving it around. It's
just know we out here.
Just know we out here. So, everybody can subscribe to Channel 99 if they're not watching on Megan's channel. Then they can subscribe to me on YouTube and watch it. So, and that's Channel 99 Studio, Boise, Idaho. You'll see it's got a retro TV. But, anyways, back to what were we talking about? What was the second question?
Politically correctness.
Yeah.
Well, is it too far?
Yeah.
Is it going to balance out? Because like
I think it already has balanced out.
I think especially for like our generation, like I think most of us are very into dark humor, and that dark humor includes being kind of like socially inappropriate, but knowing that it's not offensive. It's just fucking funny.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Exactly.
think it's more like because for me, if there's like any kind of racial jokes or something like that, that is definitely gonna be more towards like making fun of people who thought that way in past. You know what I mean? Like people thought that way. Like these people are stupid, but like at the same time, we're gonna make some jokes about it. But I don't know. It's just getting way too much out there, dude.
Well, because there's a difference between like ignorant politically correctness and like intelligent politically correctness, because you can spin it and make it funny, and it's like it's not really about the race. It's like the stereotype or like the cliche or whatever, you know.
Totally. And you're making fun of the stereotype.
Because none of us actually, I think, want to offend people of any
race,
genre,
ethnicity,
whatever,
whatever demographic they may fall into.
But the stereotype, we can make fun of that.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
I think so, 100%.
Everything's stereotype.
What about alien believers? I could probably make lots of jokes about them because I am.
I'm an alien.
Because I am.
That's why I'm an alien. That's why I hide my face. So.
Yeah. We got reptilians on the cast, everybody.
So what does that mean, though? What do you believe? What does it mean to believe in aliens?
You know what? I don't know if I really. My point of view has changed a lot, and this is going to turn into a conspiracy theory style podcast.
Let's
very
do
quickly
it. Because it's a Wednesday at 2 p.m.
I've done a lot of conspiracy theory podcasts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily believe one way or the other, but I do believe that there is a higher intelligence out there, like higher and more intelligent societies than what you and I are made aware of, whether or not they're extraterrestrial or they're intraterrestrial, meaning that they are from like our planet and they are
like Antarctica,
right? Or maybe Antarctica is part of the flat Earth, and maybe it's just the giant ice wall that's keeping us away from other civilizations.
Maybe.
We were talking about this the other day, but anyways, long story short, I do believe that there's something out there that is it's above us, both intellectually and scientifically, everything, because if they are extraterrestrial and they have been able to make
it means they're extra.
If they're from another planet, and they have the capability and they have the the wherewithal to actually travel certain distances that mankind says that are impossible with the technology that we have, then obviously there's something out there. But at the same time, I also believe that if somebody is a believer in even flat Earth and the dome theory and or the hollow Earth theory or whatever, I do believe that if there are those higher intelligences out there, they are from planet Earth, and I would probably lean more towards that.
Not even from like out there, but they're like actually from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm not saying 100%. I'd say like 60% of me probably believes more that they're from planet Earth and they're just higher civilizations that we don't know about. Because let's be real, we only know what we're told. And how many of us have actually gotten in a plane and explored the entire planet Earth? Nobody. Like, nobody that I know of.
Well, because we're not allowed.
Yeah, we're not allowed. True. And those also, you know, are certain things that I can get behind that could reinforce my belief as far as whether or not there is something else on this planet, you know, whether it's like flat or round. If we can't go certain places, we can't fly certain places, we can't do certain things, there's restrictions for a reason, and they're hiding something, or they might be.
That's the reason.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you believe in?
I've never really thought, like right now in this moment is a new thought to think that extraterrestrials would be from here, right?
Well, extraterrestrial, it
just
means they're
means-
not from here.
But I mean,
Intraterrestrial.
that they're from somewhere else, but actually fully like integrated into our society. I had never really thought about that. Like I've always thought about, like to me on a base level, like the question is, are we the only
intelligent life out there?
And to me, that's completely ridiculous to think that we would be the only, right?
100%.
So that opens up a door to a lot of things, but to think that, are they here and integrated and it's not really like this like outer space thing, but something that's like part of our world, actually. Like that's actually a new thought to me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, but it even gets me in, like, it gets that idea kind of translates into even like the Bigfoot and all these different cryptid. You think about like the Wolfman or little people or ant people or Loch Ness.
Dragons.
70%, think about this, 70% of the planet's covered in water. You think that the only intelligent life form on the entire planet is going to evolve on land?
I love that you said
on
that.
30% of land is when you have 2 1/3 times that amount of mass. You don't think there are higher intelligences or civilizations underwater that we don't know about? Because how many of us go out into the middle of the fucking ocean? Nobody does.
Right.
Right. I don't go out in the middle of the ocean.
I
don't go out there. Yeah. Can you imagine how big that is?
Yes.
And think about, even if it's grouped into small or giant cities, think about it, even if you took the United States and you dumped that underwater in, let's say, the Pacific Ocean, right? And this is a civilization that lives a couple 100 feet down. Mermaids, and like, think about if you were to drop that down, how many people are actually going to go to a random spot and then dive down so many hundreds of feet to go see a civilization? And they would be everywhere. And we wouldn't know about it because everything is guided. All of your cruise ships, everything is guided. Flights, everything is very well controlled. So you really don't know what's out there.
We really don't know.
You don't.
And they say, like, we know more about space than they do about the depths of the ocean, which is like,
and space is probably water.
Space is probably water.
It's probably water.
I agree with that.
NASA said some time ago, maybe a year or two ago, that they believe that space is actually a liquid.
That makes sense, actually.
We were geeking out on some stuff earlier about the flat Earth, dome theory, and what is it called? The
firmament.
The firmament. And we were looking at these stones online and watching these. Cheers. And watching these. Good call.
It's a little difficult with a mask on.
I'm gonna see how you do this. Classic.
That is so funny.
That's amazing.
hard.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Oh, now my eyes are burning, bro. The vodka's too strong out here.
Idaho
The
Silver.
Idaho vodka.
Welcome to Idaho.
Yeehaw.
But we were watching, some documentaries. I've said like 1,000 times
Already.
Oh my gosh. I need to stop saying
You know, I do.
Yeah.
I totally know.
Yeah. But we were watching this documentary on the sky stones, and they were composed of, what was it, 80% oxygen and other minerals that aren't found on Earth. And they're found all over the place.
Yeah.
South America.
Sky stones.
Mm-hmm.
Sky stones. They believe that these are pieces of the firmament that are cracked, that have cracked and broken off, and they fall into Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right? And when you look at the color of them,
as if it's an actual.
it looks like they look like
solid.
sky. No, it's real.
Yeah, pull it up.
Let me pull this up for you.
I literally have never heard of this.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Had you heard of it before today?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna let everybody who's watching
researched it.
watch this real quick. So you bottom screen's up, and just don't look at my Pornhub login. Just joking. Don't
I
have
got the
one.
password now.
Sky stones. These are crazy. Check this out.
People believe that's the firmament.
Yeah.
Firmament.
Firmament. Yeah.
Firmament.
And it's actually talked about in the Bible. They talk about the firmament. So
Basically, the skies of heaven ripped open, and the water of. Oh no, hold on. The skies were ripped open, and the flood from the heavens came down and created the flood down here.
Mhm.
So it basically.
Which
That's
makes
what
sense
created the-
if
Yeah.
Whoa.
which makes sense if
I don't know if they had
if NASA says that space is actually liquid,
Yeah.
Mhm.
then that would probably be where it came from, if
Yeah.
that were the case.
So I love to swim. It's one of my favorite things to do is go swimming. But when I swim, I pretend like I'm flying.
Do you?
Because to me, water is just thicker air.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically, when you're swimming, you're flying.
Mm-hmm.
You're above ground.
You're floating.
You're floating.
The laws of physics don't really apply.
It's just that space is thicker. And that's what allows you to be buoyant or control your movements, And so it's that's what I love about swimming, is it feels like flying,
And if you watch astronauts when they are doing their walks or even their training, they're trained underwater. And when you watch the way that they react to zero gravity out in space, it just looks like they're underwater.
It does.
And to be honest with you, they're probably just
They're
probably just underwater.
They're probably
on
literally
a
underwater.
really awesome green screen, just faking it.
100%.
Let's be
We're
real.
a 3 for 3
we
vote on
see
that
you.
one, I think.
Yeah.
We see you, NASA.
We see you, NASA. We got you.
Out here
We
in
know what
Boise,
you do.
Idaho, we know what you up to, NASA.
I know what that logo stands for with split tongues, bro.
That's so true.
So this is the firmament, huh?
Yeah. So the firmament. So this is the. Oh man, sorry.
can't
My
read-
mic has been so loud.
So
It's been clipping the whole
do
time
they-
on this bottom side.
When they show, when they've shown supposed breaches of the firmament, to the moon or whatever beyond, do they show the breaking of the firmament? Do they ever show that?
No. That's one thing that has never been actually documented. There's videos of rockets that go up and they reach a certain point. It's over 73 miles, and it stops in fucking mid-flight, and then
you want to see some shit?
It makes a weird sound, like almost
like
metal
cracking something, like hitting something.
Yeah, metal grinding on something. And when you have a rocket that goes up in the air, it's spinning. It's not fucking straight, you know.
Yeah.
It spins, and so when it's spinning, it sounds like it's hitting something and just grinding and just stops.
This is crazy. Everybody watching this, I'm not a proponent of flat Earth, but this shit blew my mind. No, so just watch this.
It's very questionable.
It's
very questionable.
We don't have to say what we're proponents for. We just have to look at what is presented to us.
All right. I'm going to keep the audio off so that I don't get flagged. All systems are go for launch. That's all I said. Do it. This is wild, dude.
$73 miles. That's what you just said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then everybody can listen to it hit the top right here.
Who is this video though?
It's a
some amateur
civilian space exploration team.
This is crazy, and it just hits something and stops
right here.
Did I just hear a British accent?
So it's spinning, so that's why it looks that way.
And then he just hits something, and then it stops.
It looks like Truman Show.
For real.
It does. That's exactly what we said. When we watched this, I was like, dude, this is like the Truman Show. This is from another angle right here.
Let's watch it.
And it just stops.
Whoa, that sound.
That sound is unexplainable.
I mean, that could be fabricated, right? This could be fabricated.
It could be. It could be,
but it doesn't seem to be.
The video's pretty impressive.
I'm just saying.
This is, so.
We got to doubt everybody, you know?
Yeah.
If we're going to doubt any.
But that's not the only one. There's a few rockets out there. Right on.
Is this another one right here? Oh, yeah, it's the same one.
That looks like a different team.
Yeah, it looks like a little different thing, but the same thing. Like, but we could get into like flat Earth and geek out.
Yeah.
I had this guy approach me. Probably a year and a half ago at the gym, and he came at me really hard with the whole flat Earth theory, and I was
at the gym.
Yeah, and
like,
I was
just like, hey, what's up? And then,
like, hey, so do you what do you believe in? And I was like,
really, there was like very little convo.
Yeah, and this dude came at me, and I have him underneath on my phone. Speaking of which, it just buzzed, but hush, people. But I met this guy, and he started talking about flat Earth theory to me, and he was so passionate and intense, and I was like,
as most flat Earthers
are. Dude, this guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, this guy's crazy, bro. And I took his information down. He's in my phone underneath, like, whatever his name is, Flat Earth Podcast, because I told him I wanted him on my show. I never saw him again after that. Never again saw him after that.
Got suicided by the Clintons, bro.
Maybe he's a lizard person.
What happened to this accent?
Hey, I've seen him kill himself.
Oi, mate. He was suicided by the Clintons.
He was suicided by the Clintons. Don't even fucking worry about it, mate. There's no doubt in my mind.
Are these still filming us if it's off there?
I mean, we're still on it. I should probably, like, pull that off, though. But
just checking.
Good call. Because it would have taken me about, like, 2 minutes to cut it off. There we go. But this dude came at me hard on like the whole flat earth thing. Didn't talk about the dome, but he talked about flat earth, and he started like giving me like, he was talking about plates, like you put something on a plate and you do this, this, and this, and he's telling me about the little experiments, and he was cracking me up. So I got his information, asked him to be on my podcast. He seemed a little reluctant to come onto my podcast and talk about it, but I may have to hit him up and be like, hey man, I've been looking at flat earth stuff.
Let me sit on it.
Geeking on it. Yeah.
I'll fucking talk to him.
You should.
I'll do it. Don't even worry. I'll geek on him on this flat earth nonsense. Take him out of the show.
But Hollow Earth is really interesting too, because there are some very interesting I guess accounts, whether or not you believe in them or not, but there's very interesting accounts of people in the military who have experienced certain crazy things. Yeah.
So taking a shot under his shirt.
They gotta hide my identity.
That was amazing. It was funny the first time, but I don't know why it was funny the second time.
It's always funnier the second time. That's what they say.
That's what she said.
What she said after.
Oh my cunts.
I mean, flat earth, hollow earth, I think it's just a willingness to really let your mind be willing to think beyond what we've been told and to think beyond what culturally is acceptable, you know, whether it's true or not. To me, that's what's important, is like, I really like, it makes me angry how critical people get of anyone who's just willing to think beyond what we've been told. You know, I don't know whether it's what.
I don't know. I haven't been in space.
Hollow, round.
Never been there.
You know, exactly.
I've never seen the
I never
Earth
seen it with my own eyes.
the
So
moon.
it's all speculation until you actually experience it yourself and can like testify like with your soul that you know what it is. Otherwise, it's all speculation, and it's all logic. It's all like mathematics. It's all like, you know, this combination of like what am I really willing to accept?
A lot of it's kind of common sense, though.
Common sense,
and think about this: not one photo of planet Earth is a straight photo of planet Earth.
So many things like that.
It's every single photo of planet Earth is a composite.
Exactly.
Of millions of photos that have been put together.
Like, I don't know why, but I'm saying question that. You know? Like, I don't know why it's like that, but I definitely will all day say, fucking question that.
Think about this. When the astronauts are on the moon, this is another thing that blows my mind. And I noticed this early on. I started writing papers in college probably 15 years ago. I wrote 2 or 3 different papers in a span of like 2 years about how the moon landing was a hoax. I still have those papers. They're on one of my computers. And definitely on my hard drive, not this one, but like I've got it on another hard drive out here. And if you look at the Earth from the moon, the Earth should be huge compared to the moon. And the photos that they have published, the Earth doesn't look as big as it should when you look at the moon. When you look at like a supermoon, it's fucking huge. Like it's pretty big. Like if you were to hold up like probably like a 50-cent piece.
How does the moon change size?
Right. Good
Sometimes
question.
just I'm driving down the freeway,
Didn't even think
right?
about that.
It'll be on the horizon up over here. And then I go around a corner, all of a sudden it's super big and over here. Like on the totally other side of me. And I like so many times I've been like, that doesn't even make sense.
It
you know?
doesn't.
Like with me being on the ground, only going a couple miles, how does the whole position of the moon and the size of it change? I can see hundreds of miles, you know, perspective and all that kind of stuff. But just like mathematically, that doesn't make sense. I just went around one corner and it went from up here to like over here.
Giant. Like totally changed
totally
size.
Different size, different perspective.
Go over the mountain.
Different side of me even, you know? And that's what I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't.
Because it's a hologram.
Do you think?
You think it's a hologram?
I don't think it's a hologram.
I don't either, but if it was, it would be crazy.
Why?
No, it might be a hologram thing. I mean, you know, you go to watch like a 3D projection show or something like that, and you go into a different angle, and it's like a whole different size and shape and stuff. So maybe it's a big fucking hologram up there getting projected up.
Yeah.
So,
maybe all our stars are just...
I literally have traveled all around the world.
You have.
Right. Literally. Twice, actually. And I've looked at the flight patterns that they put me on, you know, going from country to country.
We were looking at that earlier.
And
about flat Earth
that's
shit.
one of the things, honestly, about the flat Earth theories that makes me question things a lot, is just that logic behind the flight patterns. Because I see the flight patterns and I'm like, okay, if we really were trying to go the shortest distance from one point to another, it wouldn't go this route. But if you change the whole dynamic to be flat, the routes that we go
makes sense.
Absolutely make sense, because it is the shortest way to go about it, you know? So, like, to me, that's logic. That is mathematics. That is actual.
What were we saying on the, like, Africa or Australia? If you leave one point of Africa to get to Australia, it takes a lot longer than it should on a globe scale, because we're moving at thousands of miles an hour spinning.
Right.
You know, like, you should be able to get there in like 3 hours.
Oh, dude.
Spinning. And then the whole spinning
factor. But you have to do a direct flight to
damn.
Dubai, which that makes no fucking sense. That's way up there.
Totally. That's what, going from like Asia to the United States, you know, they go through Alaska.
Yeah.
Right? They don't go across the water, which would be the shortest distance, just to go straight across. But they don't. They go like this.
Dubai.
They all loop?
Yeah,
Alaska.
but if you flattened it out, that would be the fastest way to go about it. It wouldn't make sense to go across the water, you know? So that's, you know, I'm not a pilot. I haven't been out in space, but I have been on international flights all around the world and looked at the flight pattern and been like, why are they even going this way?
I think it was the 80s where they had like helicopters. Their systems showed that their like helicopter was flat, so it's like a, what the hell? It was like kind of like Pong.
Dude, my
You know what I
brother
mean?
is an Apache pilot for like 20
well, that
years.
might
I
help.
wish he was here right now.
I wish he was here right
Yeah,
now.
because like
He's a retired Apache
if
pilot.
I remember right, they had like just their navigation system to make sure that their helicopter was like flat, was just a flat line with 2 dots above it, and they had to make sure like the dots were above a certain angle of it, and it was just like teeter-totter. So it's like, if it was on a globe,
just to stabilize?
just to stabilize.
Gotcha.
So like, if you have a system where you have an Earth that is apparently curved, and you're going in a straight line, wouldn't that automatically?
Dude, should we call my brother real quick?
Yeah, call your brother. Let's phone in a lifeline.
Should I do a lifeline?
Call a friend.
Call
Call a family member.
Call in a
Regis,
lifeline. Call in a lifeline.
$1 million on the line.
Let me
And
call
I'm
it this
Regis
line.
Philbin.
So my first
This
world
is- You wanna be
world
a millionaire.
tour. I don't know if you've seen the poster for it, but the map. I marked all the locations that I was going, and it is a flat Earth map that I put behind. It's there's a cartoon of me with a spaceship,
Yeah.
and the map behind me. It is a flat Earth map.
No doubt.
Yeah. Because I want people to question.
What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? Hey, we have a
Call a
lifeline
friend.
question. We're on a podcast right now. We're doing like a lifeline question, kind of like on how to be a millionaire, or how
Yeah,
I want to be a millionaire.
If you want to be a millionaire, I am Regis Philbin.
Yeah. So we have a question for you about helicopters, and we're discussing the flat Earth theory, and we just want to confirm like how it works. So Here's 2WG, my buddy. He just has a question for you.
Oh yeah, I'm 2WG, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
Wasn't introduced earlier. It's okay, Tim.
You can hold it.
Okay, hold it. So, on like helicopters, is the stabilizing system, is it based on like a curvature or is it based on a flat system?
Well, it depends, right? So it's based off of your altitude.
Altitude?
Basically, yeah. So it doesn't go off of curvature. It just goes off of altitude of whatever the sensor is picking up below you.
Oh, okay. So if you go
Which
higher
makes
up,
sense.
the curvature is going to get more intense? Or vice versa?
I've never been up that high except for on a plane, right? So helicopters typically will fly up to probably around 10,000. Above 10,000, you start getting to hypoxia. And so your time up there is limited unless you actually have a pressurized air system in the helicopter. But other than that, most of the ground looks flat up to that point. But again, we're talking about perspective, right?
Right.
Perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It is perspective. So with that being said, like, what's your perspective? Do you think there's flat or is it curved?
It's curved.
You think it's curved? Do you think it's bigger? Do you think the Earth is bigger than what they say, or is it about what they say?
Accurate.
Pretty sure it's about what they say. They've been able to pretty well piece map the whole surface of the Earth.
Now, were you sworn under oath to say that, or that's the $1 million question here, Justin? I gotta lie. That is what's going to allow our guest here to win $1 million.
$1 million.
Right now, I was just one super still.
Oh, he was. See,
Yeah.
I mean, that was admitted. He can say that.
that explains it all.
If you're viewing it today, just know that he was sworn under secrecy.
I'm going to
and
focus
he lied.
on that he said it was about
Just kidding.
perspective.
Well,
Awesome.
I think that's what we needed.
Yeah.
It changes. It changes
changes
based on
That
perspective.
it does.
does.
It changes based on
So
perspective.
does that mean we're in a multi-dimensional plane, dude? Like,
Yeah.
So one
So
other
freak
thing
out
too
here.
is that you also have what's pressure altitude too. So it all depends on pressure as well. So that's what
The
that's kinda
thickness
how it
of
controls
the.
it.
Yeah.
Now, is that just based on?
atmospheric pressure?
Yeah, is that based on gases and which more intense in each
liquid?
area and liquid?
Well,
No, so the closer you get down to sea level, right, your basic pressure altitude is going to be zero, right at sea level. And so the higher you go, the higher your altitude is. So everything's actually adjusted to that. So like here in Boise, around, I believe around 2870 of altitude in feet. And
Okay.
so it all just depends on that. So like, every time you go out to do your pre-flight checks, you'd actually have to go and adjust that so that it shows what at the airport that the ATC is actually calling out for.
So it's like in each state it's going to be different though. Then is what you're saying, right? Because the pressure is going to be different, altitude is going to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because of the
everything goes
perspective.
into, like, environmental conditions, how moist is the air, right? How warm it is the season, all kinds of things that go into factoring into that.
How much water's in the air?
Yeah, how much water's in the air, all that stuff. So does that mean that we are in multi-dimensions in each state? Do you think?
Do I think?
Yeah, like if you go in, because it's all perspective, right? If we're going from Idaho over to Utah, completely different perspective, and then you go into Colorado, the atmosphere is different, so the perspective is definitely different. And you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just like us as human beings, right? We are just basically organic robots walking around with sensors. So
Right.
we can only see what our sensors pick up, right? We don't see the IR spectrum. Everything that we actually see is through lenses in our eyes. Like it's picked up by a sensor, the same way your cameras and everything else are used. So
Damn.
do I believe in other dimensions? Of course.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think
we win $1 million.
I don't know if we get quite $1 million, maybe 2,500 or something, but I'm down for that. So
2,500. That's like our
me-
stimulus checks.
We
just want a stimulus check.
We want stimulus checks on that, but dude, thank you for answering the phone, like giving perspective on that. Because
yes, thank you.
damn, that's perfect money.
Yeah, that was money.
Someone needs to buy you a steak dinner.
Dude, I owe you a bottle and a steak dinner. But yeah, we'll let you.
I'll keep holding to it, Tim.
What's that?
I'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
All right, I will. I got you, brother. Thank you so much, man. We'll let you go. We're gonna wrap up this podcast here in a little bit. So, but really appreciate you chiming in, giving us some insight, because that was something that we're struggling with. And yeah, you had a very professional perspective. Yeah, very much so. All right, brother. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I'll probably hit you up in the next couple of days and make sure you get that steak and that bottle.
All right, sounds good. Love you, Tim.
Awesome, man. We'll see you. Peace out.
All right, bye.
Bye. That was dope, dude.
That was money.
Yeah, my brother's dope as fuck.
We wish we had a professional opinion. Oh, there we go.
And we got one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did say that he was sworn to secrecy.
He was, dude.
And that, I mean, just
But
like
he's told me some crazy shit.
yeah,
bro.
because like doctors and everything like that have to swear in under an oath for a specific.
Which could bring us to the corona.
I mean, we could go into
conspiracy.
corona here, but before we do that, we should pull up a couple things.
We can do that.
Let's go to Google. By the way, everyone, just a reminder that we out here and we know how to live.
We know how to live.
Hashtag.
We
know how to live. This is how we quarantine, bitch.
Dude, you know what's funny? I don't use Google at all. I'm going to go back to Bing
Or
because I like Bing.
Yeah, Bing, whatever.
Or DuckDuck, what? What is it called?
DuckDuckGo is a search engine that does not track you in what you're searching, except for child porn, because that is definitely illegal and not right.
Yeah, that's really fucked up.
But
except child porn. Yeah, I'd hope so.
but
Thank you, DuckDuckGo, for keeping it real.
That's right. Keeping it safe out there. Fuck pedophilia.
Now I know where to go when I want to search. When I don't want to search pedophilia.
Search anything but pedophilia.
You gotta be careful. Don't say too much. Got cleanse on that ring. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
Tiger King, you should have looked on DuckDuckGo for it.
God damn it, Carol Baskins.
God damn it, Carol Baskins.
Are you? No fucking way.
I'm crazy sex. I don't wear a suit.
I'm broke as shit. I don't wear a suit. I've had some kinky sex, and I'm gay.
I'm gay.
And I want to be your governor.
And I want to be your governor. All right.
Yeah.
Would you guys vote for him?
You
You were in Oklahoma?
No,
dude.
Come on.
I'm sorry, but that
If you voted. If you voted.
Come
on.
I didn't even vote at the last election.
But anyway, search satanic statue.
Oh, I've seen some stuff on this.
I think it's Oklahoma. There's a couple places, and in Detroit. My bad. So
Statue
and
Baphomet.
Yeah, and hit
Baphomet.
Baphomet.
Is it Baphomet?
Baphomet.
Baphomet.
Baphomet. Hit images. All right. Maybe
I saw a documentary on this recently.
Okay, so we need to look at. I'm trying to find the good one that you can really see the stomach. Actually, the one on the left side there. Bottom, the farthest left. That one right there. Perfect. Now, take just a good gander at that. Right.
Take a gander.
Here, hold on, I'm gonna
take a gander, folks.
Yeah, let everyone see this.
Take a gander at the
So
Baphomet.
if you're looking at the Baphomet, everyone's all so fearful because
they got snakes and shit.
They got snakes and shit in the middle of the stomach that are going around a staff. Now,
the health symbol,
like NASA.
Oh, you already beat me to the punch.
Oh,
now
shit.
you go back to the medical. Now, everyone's seen that, right? We got a good gander.
But
Everyone's all
see
freaked
it
out.
right here.
Oh, it's
right
a satanic statue. Da, 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 da. It's been erected in multiple cities: Detroit, Oklahoma, Alabama.
Shout out to Detroit.
Shout out Detroit.
To be honest with you, that's an awesome statue.
Yeah,
That
very,
looks
very
fucking
good.
Beautiful,
awesome. Yeah,
very
it's
good.
gorgeous.
Now,
Yeah, it's an
type
awesome
in the
looking statue.
medical symbol.
Yeah.
I've never done that in any of my performances.
Bam, motherfuckers.
Actually, I have.
He's got wings. He's got a staff. He's got some
check
fucking.
that out.
Look at that. Wings,
Whoa.
staff, and snakes, bro. And I'm telling you right now, people want to sit there and be like, oh, no, there's nothing.
Dude, that's
There's some weird shit going on as well.
wild, bro. 2 snakes on a staff with 2 wings.
And also means genetics.
The question
This
is why?
genetics.
Why would the medical industry take
Because
a
genetics.
symbol of
Whoa.
Because genetics. It is the same symbol as a double helix.
Mm-hmm.
And the glue that they had recently, quote unquote, discovered that glues the DNA together. And it's symbolizing, like dancing around the main symbol of the main idea or the main consciousness or creator. So my theory is that there is different DNA strands that
thing came unclipped right there
it did
on that leg.
We're having technical difficulties over here with the tripod, just to let everyone know. Please do not be alarmed, because we will get back to the information momentarily. If you need to go get popcorn or soft drinks in this time of moment, this is your intermission. Please use the restroom and make sure to wash your hands, because we are in a pandemic and we are letting go of the tripod, and we are back here today.
We're back.
Anyway, we are back. I mean, I can't say that shit. Fuck. You're gonna have to edit that out too.
All right, where are we at in here? 46,
We almost out.
15.
Anyway, just to kind of sum that up, basically, everyone's a fucking devil. Like Carol Baskins.
Goddamn Carol Baskins.
Damn Carol Baskins.
Dude, do you guys really think she fed her husband to tigers? Because
I do.
You think
100%.
so? I think so too.
100%.
I think so too.
No doubt.
100%. She probably shot him out back.
She
And
probably did.
Probably shot him out back. Cut him.
Or tranquilized him. She
Or
might have. She
tranquilized
might have
him.
been like really brutal. Tranquilize him and let him stay alive, and just let him get eaten alive by fucking tigers.
Yeah, and it just blows my mind where people, like, she's trying to act like it's a fucking activist thing for like PETA or some, branch of PETA. But really, her place is fucking dog shit, dude. No,
Is it?
Like, yeah, dude. Looking at the quality of her cages and what they were doing versus what, the fucking Tiger King, bro. What he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's funny?
They're all fucked up. They're all killing tigers, but...
That's true. But at the same time, damn, we're struggling over here.
Okay, we'll get it.
We out here.
But
Life is a struggle. We out here. We know how to live.
we know how to live, and we got legs falling off already. It's kind of like on Tiger King.
Right.
We're not missing arms yet, but shit, man, we're missing legs. Just one though, not two.
It's dark humor. See,
Yeah,
don't get mad at us, everyone.
Don't get mad at me, because that dude loves the fact that he has awesome fake legs. So,
How did that even happen to him?
didn't he say he
Which
had
one?
some issues where he
The guy
couldn't
with the
feel
legs?
his, yeah, it was his own choice to have his legs cut off.
His was, I think
It was
his
like a
medical.
disease,
His
or
was
it was a medical
I think it was
issue.
like diabetes or some shit.
Mm-hmm. He had some issues.
Something like that.
I don't remember if it was like diabetes, but
Diabetes.
the betas got him. Betas.
You are
That's so Southern, by the way. Or Native American, I guess.
Hey,
No,
Victor.
that wasn't Native American at all.
Hey, Victor, I heard your
Well,
dad
what I'm
got
saying is like the beatus. Yeah, hey, Victor, I heard your dad died of the beatus there.
You want to
that
go
was-
get whiskey drunk up Budweiser?
Yes. Whiskey drunk on Budweiser prices.
You people came in and raped our land and took our women. Now we get whiskey drunk up Budweiser.
Political correctness. Come
I know.
On,
I'm just
T-Dub. Let's go,
Dude.
two.
I got
Go to.
homies in Gallup.
You know what?
My
I
live
got homies in
broadcast.
Gallup.
Hey, you guys.
Satan's holding up 2, by the way.
Listen, though. My live me
T-Dub
just
G.
said unauthorized broadcast will not be shown, which I think is the, like, showing things that aren't me.
Oh, what?
Wait, what?
Who said that?
The live me just did.
Oh, they like hit you up
Censorship, yeah.
and we're
They're
like, hey,
censoring
you
you?
can't take a photo of, or you can't
They're
have this in the
censoring
background?
This because of what we're talking.
I think because I was showing like what you guys were showing on
Oh,
the screen.
bro, they've been watching us,
Dude, Clinton's bro. We're all about to be suicided right now. Because we've been talking
Epstein.
about.
We're all
we've been
about
talking
Epstein.
Dude, Epstein. Is it Epstein? Yeah, is that how you pronounce it?
It's about to be suicided by the Clintons. That damn Carol Baskin.
Dude, how about Epstein? Totally got offed by them.
Epstein did not kill himself.
Fuck no, he didn't kill himself.
I will stand by 1,000 memes.
I will stand by 1,000 Clintons.
Right.
As he pulls his shirt up to take a drink.
Birds the eyes every time.
Drinking with a mask on.
Yeah. Idaho Silver, everybody. Welcome to the channel 99
So funny.
podcast.
We out here. We know how to live. I may be wearing masks and shit, you know, but I'm out here and I know how to get drunk.
These reptilians, man.
Don't even get me started.
These
So
reptilians. go
I
crazy.
just released a new video 2 days ago.
You did already?
Yeah, on
Crazy.
my birthday.
Yeah, let's talk about. Oh, yeah, that was the one that you had trouble uploading all day
Literally,
long.
I tried for good over, I don't know
Like,
how many hours.
all
like,
day.
All day, literally.
It
all
was
day.
like all day.
I was trying to load it.
Yeah. And we saw clips of it last night. We were actually watching it as soon as it popped up on my my news feed. I watched it. We watched it together, and it looked dope. That was in Seoul, South Korea. Very cool.
Yep, in November 2019.
Okay, and that's when you went on tour. So tell me about that tour.
So that was a world tour. It started end of October and went through to the beginning of December, but it was basically a month. And it was me and another artist. Her name's Bonnie Blue. She's from LA. She's like boom bap, LA West Coast style rapper. She's really dope. So check her out. But it was just her and I, and we met up and we started in New York City. And in each of the major cities, we met and created with a group of people where we created a music video.
Very cool.
Did live shows, photo shoots, all that kind of thing. That was kind of the like theme of the tour, was not just doing shows, but also like creating and working with locals in each of the cities we were at.
Very cool. And how did you get onto that tour?
That was, I'm independent, so it was all self-created.
Whoa. And how did you navigate that? That's a lot of work.
Well, I've been a, independent artist from the get-go, obviously, but, as we all are. So I have a few years under my belt of just, booking shows, touring, traveling, networking, and whatnot. When I started out, I was in Austin, and I started just kind of in the Southwest and doing circles from there, like Austin, El Paso, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Phoenix, and just kind of going in circles and then like expanding, so out to California, Utah, up the Pacific Northwest. After a couple of years, I went out to the East Coast, did a tour there, did a couple tours there. And really, like, just as an artist and as a person, my goal has been just like, what are my limits as an individual? Because I don't have a label, I don't have a team, I don't have a support system. I'm like very independent, but just being like, okay, what are my limits? How far can I go? And it's like, okay, I can go out of my city, I can go out of this region, I can go out of, East Coast, West Coast, where else can I go? Oh, worldwide, like where can I go? You know, and that was kind of my mindset, is like, how far can I go and still get support? How far can I go and people still vibe with me? And that's just been kind of my like motivation of like pushing those boundaries and going further and further of just like, what are my limits? You know?
Totally. So what are your influences as far as artists or bands? Who influences you in the style that you create? Because you have a very unique style.
Yeah. I honestly, I wouldn't say I have any like direct influences. You know, of course I'm influenced by my experiences, by the culture, you know, by other artists that I resonate with. But I don't know that I really have anything like that's directly where I'm like, that's what's inspired me. It's been more of like a process of being exposed to beats and finding beats that like open this door in me that go, I can write to that. And that's really been, you know, just that's been my inspiration, is like finding beats and instrumentals and music that opens up this door in me that inspires me.
Gotcha. So you don't create your own beats. You purchase them from a specific producer, or do you have a catalog of people who match your style and you just go through
I have a group of producers that I work with and pull from, some more than others. As I've traveled and toured, you know, I've had many producers hit me up and been like, hey, let's collaborate, you know, so I've definitely worked with all sorts of different producers and been open to different producers, but it's really just a matter of like the vibe and if that beat speaks to me of like who I end up working with. But there's probably like 5 core producers that I've worked with the most if you look at my catalog.
Yeah.
And they're like all over, like one's in Canada, one's in New York City, one's in LA, you know, so it's kind of like
very different styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on like what actually speaks to me.
Right. And so you have how many songs or CDs? How many albums? What have you produced so far?
I should know that number for moments like this.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I have a pretty.
Only because I don't have iTunes.
Yeah.
I use the Amazon Music Plus. And there are some artists who aren't published on there, or if they are published, I'll download their music and then, you know, a week or two later it will have deleted from my phone because that artist no longer deals in Amazon Music.
Oh, interesting.
And so some people will send me songs from, let's say, Spotify or SoundCloud, and they're just not published on Amazon.
Right.
So when I look up a lot of artists, the majority of artists, especially independent artists, the majority of what they publish, it'll go through to Amazon, but there are quite a few who don't.
Right.
And I'm not able to look up certain songs or
just
certain
depends on
albums.
the distributor.
It just depends on the distributor, or it depends on the knowledge of the distributor, I guess, at that point. You know, maybe those individuals don't know that you have to maybe register it. I don't publish through Amazon. They don't do podcasts. So I don't know how that platform works.
I distribute with DistroKid.
Okay. I think most people distribute through DistroKid.
It's pretty, I found it to be pretty efficient. You know, they hit all the major
They hit Amazon. They should.
Platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know quite a few artists here locally who publish through DistroKid. And the majority, if not all of it, always pops up on Amazon.
Right.
But you also have to register. Sometimes you have to register outside of that. So with my podcast program and my publisher, who I pay for, it's kind of like a DistroKid. It's called Podbean. And these guys publish to everything but Laughable, Spotify, podcast addict. There's quite a few different platforms that people use, and they are huge platforms, but Podbean being one of the biggest publishing podcasting platforms that you can have, they still don't publish to those other ones because you have to register it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Totally.
So you have to register with certain things. I just didn't know. But either way, so you have a lot of music at least. How many albums do you think? Like 3, 4?
No, maybe like 10.
You have 10 albums?
Yeah, albums, EPs. Yeah, definitely.
What?
Yeah.
So you have like 100 songs out there that I don't even know?
15 music videos.
I knew you had a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you had that many.
That's why I'm in my 6th year of doing music. So it's actually been rather prolific, if I do say so myself.
That's a lot of albums.
Yeah.
And a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
I've just been blessed because, like, starting out, the first producer I worked with, his name's Riddlor. He's LA, OG West Coast. And he's kind of the person that got me started into music because I just had some songs I'd written for my son a cappella that I wanted to record just for, like, if I got hit by a bus or something, But then when he heard me singing these songs a cappella, he was like, what if I put this beat to that? And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds like way doper, And so that's how it started, I had these songs already in a cappella, then he put the beat to them. And he is a very talented person that he was able to really, like, the first beat he picked and put to it, it was like, nothing in my vocals had to change. It was like the right tempo, the right vibe, And I was like, oh, that's like super fun. Like, that's dope, Like, that sounds way better than just a cappella. And so we just started building that way. And then when we finished those with what I had already created, he was like, look, you can use any of my beats. You have access to my whole library, which was literally like hundreds and hundreds of beats. Because he's like, he's an artist from like the 80s, that was like in the streets, Good Life Project in the LA, an OG, like making beats because literally nobody was making beats. So like the only way you had beats was to make beats for yourself. So that's who this kind of artist is, and so he gave me access to his whole library, and it gave me the opportunity as an artist to really like go through hundreds of beats and really be like, wait until I heard the one that spoke to me, and then I would write to that, So out of those hundreds and hundreds of beats, I took like maybe 20, right? Because those were the ones that actually like spoke to me, and that's all my early work. And then when I started touring and getting out there more, everywhere I went, producers were like, hey, I want to work with you. And I just chose as a mindset that I wasn't just going to tour and go city to city doing shows, but that I was going to go city to city and build community. So I would like connect with those producers and those other artists in that town and build with them and record with them and, put out music. So there's also like a lot of singles out there of like different artists from like all over the country that I've collaborated with, just because as I was on tour and out there and in the world, I was willing to build with people like that. And I was telling you guys earlier, like there was a point where like people didn't really know where I was from because I was traveling so much and building with people in so many different communities that people were like, oh, like I thought you were from here, I thought you were from there, because I had music with artists there locally in all these different areas. So it was like they didn't really know where I was actually coming from. So it's...
Yeah, well, you have a very unique style. How did you figure out your branding as far as the face mask? And you're very, I would say, as far as the way your style goes, you fit in very well in like Asian countries. Yeah, because you got the face mask on and the hood on, and you look very like hip hoppy with the face mask.
Yeah.
And most people here in the U.S., they don't do that.
Yeah.
That's more of like an Asian stereotype, if you will, with the whole face mask and everything. But you seem to nail
pre-corona.
it. Pre-corona. Yeah.
Well, that's like a branding like that I've actually been working on for about 2 years. of just kind of a certain vibe and a certain style, you know, and a lot of that is like covering the face. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, because to me, there are multiple cultures that is part of what they're about, you know, covering the face, whether it's Asia, Middle East, you know, and there's a lot of different symbolism that comes with covering the face. And as an artist and as a woman, where, you know, so much of like what our value is based on sexuality, covering the face and being seen and heard and valued as more than just what you look like and what you're able to emote and what you're able to convey, you know. So the mask for me is like multiple levels.
It's anonymity.
Yeah. There's so many levels to why I have chosen to take that branding on. So and then like a lot of the branding has been like all along, like for years now, like I've been saying future. And so, you know, last year on my November tour, future, like we were like heavy with that whole vibe, future, and doing the face mask and everything. And little did we know, a couple months from then, the whole world was going to be asked to be wearing masks.
Wearing face masks,
you know?
yeah.
So it's
or in
kind
this dude's case, a whole face mask.
Or a whole face mask.
We out here. We know how to live.
And die. Apparently we all know how to die too.
You know,
Corona.
but it's like anti-establishment, it's anarchy, it's, you know, it's non-sexuality, it's like there's so many levels to why we cover our face.
True.
Know?
I never thought about that.
And I embrace all of those. There's not one level of why we cover our face that I'm like, I don't agree with that. Like,
yeah, I
agree with all the different levels, and that's why I've been willing to take it on. That's why I've been willing to put that as like, you know. And from the beginning, like I, especially being a woman and a woman in a semi-hip hop culture, I didn't want my only value to be my sexuality. So I have strived really hard. If you look at all of my content, like there's very little, I can't say none, because I am a sexual being and I am a woman and I'm not ashamed of that or afraid to show it, but I don't want that to be why people value me.
Exactly.
And that's been a very important thing to me, to make sure that what I'm putting out there is like that people actually hear me, not just because they see something
who you are
that they want to fuck,
right?
You know.
Yeah,
I want them to hear what I'm saying, you know. So if you look at my content, I'm very modest. I'm very like covered in most of what I do. There's very little that shows like my whole body or me being overtly sexual. Not that I'm not sexual, because I am a sexual being. So, you know,
we all are.
we all are. We're
we
human.
all are, you know. Yeah. But like, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to suppress that. I'm definitely, I fully own it and embrace it. But I'm not trying to use that to sell my message and try to sell like, I want people to hear me for me.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, no, I totally do.
And as a woman in the industry, it's like especially challenging.
Sure.
So taking on that kind of that branding of like covering the face, covering the body, and like being sexual beyond that, you know, where people can like, you know, watch me with like fully covered and still feel like a little bit like, oh, what? Who's that? You know, like to me, that's this whole other way of going about things.
Totally. It leaves little to the imagination, or a lottle to the imagination. In your case, just because you are very covered, and I have noticed that in a lot of your videos. So props to you for finding a really cool branding. I really enjoyed the photos and the video you had posted from your last tour. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, whoever did that, I'm going to assume they had a Sony. And I'm going to assume they had like some really dope lenses, but they were rocking Sony. Because I rock Nikon. I know what Nikon looks like. I know what Canon looks like. But the stuff that I saw, it was either Fuji or it was Sony.
From the last one?
Yeah. It was either Sony photos or Fuji. And if not, then they're rocking some really awesome lenses with Canon or Nikon bodies that I'm not familiar with.
So
and I know a lot
he's
of stuff.
talking about the most recent video that I released, which was on Monday, April 13th. And it's a video song called In Love that I filmed while I was in Seoul. And yeah.
Is that how they pronounce it? Seoul? South Korea. Okay.
And that experience was just completely positive, start to finish. The filmmakers that I worked with were just absolutely brilliant with their direction, with their vision, you know, with like seeing me, and then the editing that, you know, in the final product. Like I'm just like so stoked on.
And Korean chicks are so hot. So
because that applies to what we're talking about at all.
You were in Korea. Korean people are beautiful in general. The culture...
People are beautiful.
People are beautiful. But
everywhere.
The culture in Korea is a very hospitable and very friendly culture, and they take to Americans very well. And you being a very tall Caucasian woman in Seoul, you probably garnered quite a bit of attention just because you're very unique. You would stand out somewhere in a place like that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't feel that. Like it may have been, right, that people were looking at me that way, but I didn't feel it. Like I didn't feel like outside of it, like where people were just, oh, like you're this, you know.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you so tall and white and
right.
have round eyes?
But you started it off saying that my music or my vibe is very Asian.
It is
in
very,
a way.
in my opinion.
And it's really interesting that you said that because we did do some shows in Tokyo on the last tour, and there was a journalist writer who came and reviewed the show, and we did an interview afterwards. And one of the things that she said to me was, "Oh, Meganoke, you're already Japanese."
Yeah, the name itself.
The way that everything about you, the vibe, the sound, the way you present yourself,
you're very
it's
Tokyo.
Already Japanese.
You're very Tokyo.
You know, and that was a huge compliment because I already felt that. And that's why I went to Tokyo, because inside of me, I was like, I need to get to Japan because I feel like the people there will resonate with what I'm doing just naturally. It wasn't like I tried to be Japanese. It wasn't like I was like, hey, what is Japanese culture like? I'm going to do that. It's just like, here's what I've become. And then I was like, I think Japanese culture will fuck with me. You know, I'm going to go there and see what happens.
It's so industrial, and it's a whole different vibe. It's very aggressive, but it's also very solemn, and it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, it's interesting that you, as an American, you know, that's your same feedback as someone there as like a full-on Japanese.
Like that is your market, 100%. Like the U.S. would be very difficult to tap into because of all the different styles of hip hop and stuff that we have, but with all the underground and I revert back to industrial, but that's the only terminology I know from the type electronic, but it's very,
because industrial is more like grungy.
Yeah,
mine's more saucy and trap.
Yeah,
I got a lot more. I got a lot of trap,
like
beats.
Trip hop.
I'm not really. I have a few industrial songs that are in that direction, but the majority of my music is like trap, bass trap, trip hop.
Yeah, and it matches very well. It matches very well with certain cultures, and I believe like Japan, probably some Chinese like areas, and definitely South Korea. Like you just, to me, when I look at your branding and I hear your music, those are the places I see you thriving, just because of your style and everything you post and the way you brand yourself. So if that's the track you're wanting to be on and you want to move to Tokyo someday, well, then you nailed it, because you could totally do that. and you could thrive, in my opinion, as an artist over there. And you never know, you could find a bunch of other producers in those areas who can collaborate with your producers back here, and you could create a dynasty and just start your own label.
Dynasty.
Create your own label. It'll be the Meganoke Dynasty. How did you come up with that name? Is it Meganoke or is it Meganoke?
It's Meganoke, but the
so
name...
it's two set. Basically, it's mega.
It's one word, but
But you split it as two. Yeah. So it's 2 meanings in one.
And the name comes from, it's inspired by Princess Mononoke. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea, but it sounds Japanese.
It is. So there's a Japanese anime, Studio
like
Ghibli. Miyazaki has a film, which is one of my favorites. It's called Princess Mononoke. And it's a story of a girl that was raised by these giant white wolves in the forest. So I had a white wolf for 16 years that I took with me everywhere. Like, she was with me everywhere. Like, I would only accept jobs that would let me take my wolf with me. You know, like, she was my white shadow. And,
how'd you get a wolf?
A friend.
I mean, you can own wolf dogs.
Yeah, she was 89% wolf and then white German Shepherd.
A white German Shepherd. Never heard of that.
So she was all white. She was the runt of her breed, so she was smaller. She wasn't huge, but
so like 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Was she really that big?
She wasn't much bigger than your dog, actually.
Okay.
So she was smaller than
huge,
like
but...
a wolf.
Yeah.
But still, she looked, walking down the street, she looked like a wolf.
She didn't look like a Malamute or anything like that.
No, she looked like a wolf. Kindest, most gentle spirit animal you'll ever meet. Like, I could put a bunny next to her and she wouldn't hurt it. Like, she literally, like, she was very intelligent, amazing, but
domesticated.
That's the reason I got even before I started doing music, I got the nickname Meganoke, because my friends were like, oh, you're like Princess Mononoke, Meganoke, you know? So then when I started doing music, they were like, you need a stage name. I was like, well, people already call me Meganoke. I'll just use that.
Gotcha.
So, and then I incorporated that. A lot of my early stuff, there's a lot of wolf in the imagery, like both photography and video and everything. You'll see like wolf stuff in there. And that's why it's kind of that like, so it's not like it's directly Mononoke, but it's inspired by and because of those connections there.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
So what are your next steps? What's going on now? So you just got back from tour and... you're probably going to relax for a little bit, considering there's nothing that you can actually do. Everything's on lockdown.
So in November, it was my second world tour. The first one I did was the year before, and I did that one solo, actually. And I started in New York City and did Iceland, Oslo, Berlin, Paris, Milan, Seoul, and LA. That was my first world tour. And I did that one solo. It was 7 weeks. And that was an extremely challenging experience. I tend to be ambitious and independent, so I was like, I can do it. I'll do it, like, and I just haven't been willing to wait for anybody to offer me opportunities. I've just been like, if I want to do it, I'm going to make it happen. And it was hard. It was really hard. It was extremely lonely, and it was extremely challenging on many levels. I had set up photo shoots in every city that I was going to with local designers to feature their work, and almost half of them didn't follow through with what we had set up while I was on the tour. So that was like really disappointing. A lot of my support system fell through while I was on the tour. So that was really isolating and challenging. I had created an album that in each city I released a song, so that by the end of the tour it was a whole album. And my producer for that 3 days before I left for tour got in a motorcycle accident and passed. So
I've been in many motorcycle accidents.
Yeah.
I got crazy stories I could tell you off mic.
I was grieving, my dear friend and fellow creator while I was on the tour, so it was just like so many levels of challenging. I had multiple people be sexually inappropriate that I was trying to work with, and because I don't have a manager, I don't have anybody to step in between. I was having to manage how to deal with that and still accomplish my goals, so it was just like that first tour was, it almost, for the first time in my experience as a creator, was the first time that I was actually like, I don't know, like, fuck this shit, Yeah. Like, before that, I had never even questioned what I was doing. I just was like, this is what I'm doing. This is it. Like, no question, just like 100% focus. And on that tour, there was just so many things that didn't work out, that fell apart, that were like offensive. Like, it was just, it almost broke me as an artist.
Yeah.
So the fact that I decided to go on another world tour the next year is actually pretty significant and amazing. And I actually started out, was only going to go to Tokyo and was going to only focus on the Japanese market. But I have found this like special deal about traveling around the world, that it actually is cheaper to do this thing this little special that I found, to like go to multiple cities and go all the way around, than to just go straight to Tokyo and back. So then I was like, well, I might as well go to New York, if it doesn't cost any more. And then I was like, well, might as well go to London, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm not just going to Japan anymore. I'm doing another world tour.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe I'm planning another world tour by myself. Like, the last one was so challenging. Like, I just can't even believe I'm doing this. And I was talking to my friend Bonnie, who we had done just a U.S. tour the fall before. So I knew how she was as an artist. I knew what it was like to tour with her. I knew her personally. And I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm planning this world tour again. I'm going to do it by myself. And she's like, I'll go with you. I was like, are you serious? Because finding other artists, DJs, anything, people that are willing to invest in touring and invest in themselves without a promise of a reward is not easy. Most people think, oh, if I'm going to do a tour, I need to be getting this much back. But really, the reality of the business of it is, it's like, you have to invest. You have to be willing to invest before you're making money. But her original intention was just...
Can't make money if you don't spend money. Just
No.
let people know that you're not going to make money unless you spend
honestly, money. Because as an artist, you have to like always question yourself, like, why am I doing this? And so I think there's like, it comes to this point where you're like, am I doing it just for the art, or am I going to actually be business about this as well? Because those are two totally different worlds, two totally different mindsets of being just an artist and being an artist that's also business. And so she was like, I'll go with you just as, like support. Just as like to be there with you and like travel. She'd never been out of the country, and, like, I'll just go with you to be there with you. But then I was like, you're fucking dope. There's no way I'm going to book all these shows and not book you,
Yeah.
So then I booked her on all of the shows, but the New York City show, I just couldn't get her on it because it was already full. But, so then it became a tour, for the both of us, and she's in most of my videos, and she became much more than just being there, like, she was an amazing tour mate, and our personalities are really similar. So even on the tour, like, it was endless projects. So like, whether we were performing live or filming a video or doing a photo shoot or having to get to the airport, it was literally nonstop. Like, we had 2 days of the whole month that were not scheduled, so it was nonstop. And just the way our personalities are, it just was like the perfect combination, because when I was down, she was able to pick up the slack and kind of, you know, take charge. And when she was like not feeling it, I was able to. And we were able to understand each other and what we were feeling and not fight. And, you know, like it was just the perfect tour mate, honestly, you know.
That's fucking teamwork.
Teamwork. But it's rare. And that's why I did the first tour by myself, because I'm like, I'd rather be alone than have to deal with anyone else's bullshit or limitations, you know, because I know what I want and I know what I'm trying to achieve. And if someone's not like 1,000% on board and going with me, then you're like hindering me.
Yeah. So if you're not with me, you're against me. At that point.
So I'd rather do it alone and be alone than have to carry someone else's weight, you know. But she was definitely an awesome teammate and tour mate and fellow collaborator.
What was her name again?
Bonnie Blue.
Shout out to Bonnie Blue.
Shout out to Bonnie Blue.
For being a true girlfriend.
For
Bonnie
real.
Blue.
Bonnie Blue.
She's a
the
dope
girlfriend.
She's a
that's
dope
so
artist
true.
too. Like, I hope to bring her through here sometime for you to meet her too, because
yeah, if you guys ever play in Boise, just let me know. I mean, you guys can always chill out. I know a lot of venues and venue promoters and talent acquisition managers, if you want to call them that. But I know a lot. I take photos for a lot of venues here. I talk to a lot of artists who come through here. And if I can't get you connected directly, I'll directly connect you to somebody who can find somebody who can get you directly connected.
Thank you.
If not being able to do it themselves, like right off the bat.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Boise it's one of the biggest hot spots right now. Well, not right now during the Rona, but Boise is one of the biggest hot spots for music and indie music, in my opinion, outside of... honestly, we're the biggest one in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're bigger than Spokane.
More than Seattle?
I think we have some of the best.
More progressive than Seattle?
I would just say that we have more of a hungry market than Seattle.
Oh, that
it
would
might
make
be
sense.
more, like you were talking about earlier about
With
how Austin, how it's so saturated. I think everybody would think, like, go to Seattle.
Yeah.
Boise's the third biggest city in the Northwest.
What's the second?
Portland.
Okay.
Seattle, Portland, and the Boise.
Okay.
And Boise is actually been called, and even like the Seattle Post even said this, Boise is Little Seattle. This is the place you want to come to. We have Tree Fort Music Festival that has 300 or 400 artists. I get hired, but I was hired by like 4 different artists to come and do their photos. I try to get a press pass for the Tree Fort Music Festival. They messaged me back and they're like, "Hey, my name is so and so. I got your application. Are you willing to do more than just music?" And I messaged them back. I was like, "No, I don't do anything but music."
Yeah.
Sorry. And then they never messaged me back. And then like 2 days later, that's when the whole stay-at-home order came, and they never got back to me, which I'm fine with. And I even messaged them back like a week later and said, "Hey, just to reiterate, I would love to work for you guys, but I have bands who want me to do their photos, and I will take their photos regardless of whether or not I have a press pass from you guys, because I'm working for the bands. I'm not working for the venue.
Right.
So I won't walk around and take
Huge
photos."
difference.
Yeah. Well, bands have precedence. I go through bands. I don't go through promoters. I don't go through management. I don't go through anybody but somebody who's on the band. And I get in everywhere when that happens. Like, that's just how it is. You have to have a strategy. I'm not going to divulge my strategy on my podcast, because I bet some of my competitors are probably going to be listening to this. But and only because they started their own podcast because they couldn't get on mine. But
$1 million.
3 4 Count Dracula from fucking
Dracula?
Sesame Street.
Count Dracula.
Count Dracula from Sesame Street. Yeah. 1 2 and he would like teach you how to count, and you're like, dude, I'm like 9 years old, bro. Like, let's skip ahead a little bit.
You talking shit on the count?
On the count. Count Dracula, but Count Chocula can't talk shit on Count Chocula.
There's no shit to talk about the chocolate.
I love my fucking Cocoa Krispies. Isn't that Count Chocula? Cocoa
No.
Krispies? Who's Cocoa Crisp? Who's Count Chocula? This is the guy. Have you not seen Count Chocula?
Yeah, but I didn't think it was crispy.
Oh, it's Baphomet.
We're back to the devil. Hail Satan.
Count Chocula. Oh, Count Chocula is just, yeah, it's like,
Is it crispy?
oh, it's not Krispies. It's
it's ghosts.
it's like chocolatey cereal and marshmallow
Chocolatey
bits.
ghosts.
Fucking General Mills. Get out of here, GM. Y'all are the reason why we all have coronavirus anyways. All right, so
So the tour.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what's next?
Okay, well, so on the tour, we did New York City, Amsterdam, UK, Switzerland, Tokyo, Seoul, and Hong Kong. And I filmed 4 music videos on that tour, one in New York City, London, Tokyo, and Seoul. And that's what I'm releasing now. So about a month ago, I released the video in London, One for Nothing. And then I just a couple days ago released In Love that was filmed in Seoul. So the next one to come out is the one in New York City. That one is a filmmaker and producer that I've worked with before. A video I have called Mega times B&B. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
I'll show it to you when we finish up here. But basically on that one and also on this one, show up to a studio, write to the beat, record it, next day film the video. Because we're on tour, we only have a couple days, so it's like we're working, so that's what happened with the Mega times B&B video, and then the one that will come out in May, that's the same process. And then in June I'll release the one that was filmed in Tokyo, and then hopefully in July I'll release the video that you and I make.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm just I feel like our culture is moving in a direction. We're much more visual than we are just audio. Like, people are way more likely to go to YouTube and watch a video than they are to just go and listen to a track.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to kind of move from releasing whole albums or EPs to this year in 2020, everything I'm releasing is, all my new music is through video.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I have those videos from the tour in November, but then I'm also in the process, as of right now, while I'm here in Boise with you, of creating new visuals and videos for new music.
Awesome.
So that's what that'll come out. And then if the travel bans are lifted and, things are going back to normal, probably the next place I will go will be LA, because that's where Bonnie is, and she's going to be having an album release party. And I have people there to film with and podcast and, network and collaborate with. So that's kind of the next place that I think I'll go. And then if things really are seeming safer, my number one favorite place and place I want to go back to is Tokyo.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Shinzo Abe, slowly. He's getting criticized right now pretty bad, so we'll see how long the whole Tokyo thing goes on. I don't even know if they're even in a lockdown state right now.
They've been pretty chill.
They do, yeah.
Because I've had a lot, I have a lot
State
of
of
friends
emergency.
there on Instagram, and just watching their stories. They have not been practicing self-isolation like we have in the U.S.
No.
It's
been a state of emergency, but it's not a lockdown.
Definitely not.
And Abe, is that how you pronounce it? Abe?
Not sure.
Abe? Whatever. Shinzo, I'm going to call him Shinzo because I'm going to pretend like this dude's my homie. But like Shinzo or Shins, I'll just call him Shins at this point. Yo,
bro.
or Shinny, bro.
Shinny,
I'll just call him Shinny. So Shinny has been taking a lot of flack lately for self-isolating in his house while being serenaded by, personal musicians. And he has
I'll go.
corgi or something, like a fancy breed.
But their numbers aren't high.
Well, they're not.
So
they're
that's
not,
an interesting thing.
Which is kind of surprising.
I know we've been skirting the whole. We don't want to make this podcast about Corona, but it's an interesing thing, like a whole country and culture that hasn't been self-isolating.
And they have a
But
lot
they're kind of on an island
people.
though.
Still though,
That
would make them even more that the numbers
susceptible.
would spread.
But I believe
I just think
Japan practiced some pretty
curious.
good. Japan practiced some pretty good isolation beforehand. They wouldn't let any of the cruise ships dock there. Japan recognized it really early, and I definitely will give them credit for kicking out all of these cruise lines that were supposed to swing by and stop off at different ports and stuff. And they were like,
the
no.
cruise lines anyway,
they were like, no, fuck you. Go down to like Australia or something.
Right.
Like you can fuel up, but everybody's isolated if you show up here. And so I give them credit for that. But at the end of the day, shout out to Shinny, my boy.
Shout out to Japan.
Shout out to Japan.
Of all the places I've been in the world,
Japanese
I
chicks
think
are super
Japan
hot, too.
is my favorite country I've ever been to.
No doubt.
Yeah, the culture just on so many levels, like the food, the architecture, the people, the mannerisms, just the language. There's just so many levels. The mindset, it's almost night and day difference to Americans.
Yeah.
Whereas we're
It
like
is night and
overly
day.
consumerism, big this, big that, they're
over there living in shoeboxes.
They're living in very small spaces. Small spaces.
Living in shoeboxes.
Very simplistic. It's like Zen, that's what it's just like the whole but it's a extension of a mindset of the culture as a whole, like we'd be like, hey, I want to be Zen, but it's like it's anti like everything we've been taught to be simplistic and Zen in our living space or in our lives as a whole. But that's how it is.
Let me do yoga and drive a big truck over here, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, like I'm Zen, but I'm throwing diesel out.
Exactly.
I'm throwing that Dodge Ram out in your face, but I do yoga class.
And
on
honestly,
Wednesdays.
like the stupidity over the whole toilet paper hoarding, it's like it's so.
Oh, toilet paper's back on the shelves.
Well, we
now.
are behind the times. Like that's the thing is like Japan and Tokyo, they are technologically ahead of us as a culture. The way they use technology, the way they use that intelligence across the board in the culture, it's just completely different than the way that we have embraced that kind of information and that technology. Even down to like literally the toilets, like the toilets there are so dope. Like they are naturally bidets. They have heated seats. Like they even play music if you want to cover up the sound. You know what I mean? Like, and then you come back to our toilets here and it's like caveman. It's like it's not, and it's just like those toilets are so nice, you know? It's
Sure.
so nice. And like, that's technology. That's using technology to make life more hygienic, more, you know, like peaceful, more relaxing, just as a, you know, just even a heated toilet seat, like especially in the Northwest, you know, like where we have, it's fucking cold and we don't have heated toilet seats aren't the norm. Why not? It's not that complicated.
It's kind of weird though, because like when I think of a warm toilet seat, it means somebody just took a shit right before me.
No, it's nice. It's relaxing.
That's what I think when I think of a warm toilet seat.
saying,
I'm like, damn,
know?
dude, this guy hunkered down, bro. Like, this seat's hot.
No.
May not smell funky, but damn, dude, this guy was fucking just,
Well, that's just like
destroying this porcelain right here.
that's the most base level, you know, example of the way they
Punishing old John over here.
the way they've used technology in ways that we like. Why don't we do that? You know, why don't all of our why aren't our toilets like that? You know, like
It would be nice getting a massage while I'm taking a dump. That'd be cool. Let's try to get those countries to implement that. Maybe the U.S. will follow.
But I would love to live in Japan.
Do they
someday.
have
Japanese
self-sanitizing toilet seats? Because that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about germs, motherfucker.
I'm not. I'll take a shit at any place as long as there ain't pee and poop on the toilet seat.
But how many places publicly have you been through that have been pristine, clean?
McDonald's.
Pristine.
McDonald's
No, dude.
usually has really
False
nice
statement.
bathrooms.
I would like to know what McDonald's.
Just McDonald's in general.
Bro, I've been
They
to
have
McDonald's
nice
down in
bathrooms.
Texas. I've been to McDonald's in New
So I think
Mexico.
Starbucks
Starbucks
across
has
the board
decent
has good
bathrooms.
toilets.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in New York City, the Starbucks were
No, you got
No.
people banging up in there doing some cocaine.
toilets.
Yeah,
in New York City.
people-
Finding a clean
People
toilet
in
in New
there
York City.
slamming the hardest of
Slamming crack.
drugs, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like, yo, dude, that guy's been taking a shit for 20 minutes. John, your mocha's been ready, bro. It's cold as shit.
But
And he's-
everywhere else,
and this dude's all
Starbucks
fucking
has nice-
tapping out. He's like, all right, dude, 5 more minutes, bro. 5 more minutes. I can't
5
hit
more
the.
minutes. I need a lighter.
Yeah,
Anybody
I
got a
can't.
lighter?
I can't hit this. I can't hit this vein, dog. Hold the mocha. I can't hit the vein.
Hold the mocha.
Hold the
Hold
mocha.
the fucking mocha.
I can't hit the vein. Dude, that's a good shirt somewhere, dude.
Yeah, make a next
Hold
T-shirt.
the mocha. I can't
Hold
find
the
the vein.
mocha. I can't find the vein. Anti-drug shirts right there, dude.
Dare.
So I
Fucking
had
be on
I had
drugs in
planned.
Starbucks at
I was
17.
supposed to be in the UK beginning of March, right when all the Corona stuff started happening, and I kind of had to decide. I had a 11-day tour already booked and planned and everything, and it was right as everything was starting and starting to come out. So I had to decide whether or not to continue with it or not. But it was still in the early stages, so I didn't know if I was like overreacting and being paranoid or if I was being extra intelligent, you know, like I just didn't know. And I decided not to go, and I'm really glad that I did, because right in the time frame that I would have been over there is when they put
The travel ban.
travel restrictions. So I probably would have been stuck there. So I'm glad that I decided not to, but part of my plan for the year before Corona was to go back to all of those countries that I'd filmed the video in and, you know, throw a event releasing the video in the country that it was filmed in. So that's why I was going to UK, was to release the London film, and then was supposed to about now be going to Tokyo and Seoul to release those videos, you know. So that whole marketing strategy was totally scratched, you know, by all this that's going on, and I've just released them anyway. But I hope to get back out there. You know, like there's nothing I love more than being out in the world, different communities with fellow collaborators where everybody's on the same page. Everybody just wants to create and work together and show up and be like 100% there for it, you know, and like there's just nothing better than that experience as a creator. And I love film. I love having the music aspect and the fashion aspect too, express all those different levels of like what I'm trying to do. So that's part of my branding that you were talking about, has been fashion, film, and music. Mm-hmm. And, just bringing those three things together. And part of that tour that I haven't mentioned yet, in November, was I had a Tokyo designer who sponsored the tour with the designs. That's what I'm wearing right now, and that's what I'm wearing in all of the videos, are those designs by Angram, Angrm, who he's a Tokyo designer. He made these designs for me, and then I screen printed them myself.
Nice.
So that was my merch for the tour. That's what everybody's wearing in the videos. And that's, again, part of the whole like branding package of fashion, film, and music.
Totally. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, I'm super stoked that you swung by Boise for the podcast. Where can people find you?
Everywhere on social media, it's Meganoke, Meganoke, Meganoke. But then also my website is meganoke.com, so it's pretty easy to find me anywhere.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing with us a little bit of some insight and geeking out for a little bit.
I mean, we had to bring the conspiracies into
it. Always.
We had to.
Always.
We
it's Channel 99.
We can't miss the opportunity
Conspiracy
to share
channel.
the truth,
I'm like coast to coast. Diet coast to coast is what I am.
Diet coast to coast.
Sugar free coast to coast.
To me, with all that really matters is like, no matter what we're saying, whether people agree with us or not, it's like fucking question it.
Just
question it. Question what we're saying. Question what you hear. Question what you were taught. Question everything. And everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I appreciate you for tuning in to Channel 99. It's Meganoke, 2WG. Make sure you subscribe to 2WG. And 2WG, would you please just let us know where we can find you as well?
You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all that shit. First debut single coming out. Here shortly.
How do they find you? Number 2,
what day is it, man?
DUB,
what day
and then
is
Top
it?
G. What is it?
2WG official across the board. Twitter and
is it 2 like number 2?
Yeah,
and then
number
Dub
2,
G?
Dub DUB with the capital G, motherfucker.
2WG.
Solid. All right, everybody.
Find it out.
So Meganoke, 2WG, we appreciate y'all for coming through, geeking.
Thanks for having me.
And having a great time. And make sure you subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Pass the episode along. And have a wonderful rest of your
live long and prosper
day. Yeah, peace out.
Peace.